Hello and welcome to the next Nix Hour. So if you want to ask a question, you can join the meeting link in the YouTube description. But yeah, for today we have one debugging derivations, which was asked by Sophie in here. And we also have this issue, which was written down in the Jitsi chat. And if you have a question meanwhile or during it, feel free to interrupt or use the chat, and let's go from there. So I think maybe let me start with debugging a derivation or any Nix code with. Oh, actually, this is not the one that you meant, Sophie, I think. Right, it is debugging the other one. Yeah, using tools like Nix develop to debug and work with packaging. Yeah. So yeah, the question here is, so far I've been using Nix build to just make it work until it works, to repeat until it works. But how can you debug derivations with something like Nix develop or generic build? And that's an interesting question. There's no like super easy answer. The derivations are generally a mess. So, but let's try it. So let's find maybe one that has some phases. Let's say, I mean, hello. Hello is a good example, generally. So let's go into Nix packages and say, or let's do, well, hello doesn't have a lot of phases, but let's try. So the definition of hello here, well, it uses the defaults of the phases. Can we introduce failure here? So let's, for example, say we have a patch that doesn't apply. That might be an example. Or let's say, well, actually, that's kind of hard to demonstrate. Tests, invariants. Well, let's try just building hello for now. So, well, inside Nix packages, you can't really use Nix develop since, well, you can, although Nix packages is kind of very big, and so this takes a lot of time, and Flakes currently always copy the entire repository, which all Flakes users will be familiar with. So instead, I'm just going to use Nix shell, which is comparable to Nix develop. Right inside Nix packages, you can't use this directly. We need to actually give a path. In this case, hello. Now I have Nix shell aliased to, well, let's start this again. Have it aliased to Nix shell -- command C shell, so it opens a Z shell when I do that. But the problem then is that we don't have access to things like configure phase. So in here, configure phase, it's just unset. And so if I want to actually use these and debug derivations, I need to unalias my Nix shell. So if I then do that, we have the configure, well, flags, the phase is I think that's a function, so we can print it like this. But yeah, so once you are inside of here, we can look at the generic builder, what that does. So that is implemented here, I believe. Generic build, that's not right, it's builder, yeah. Generic build, no, it's also not here. Generic build, it is here, oh, default builder. Yeah, so this is what stdinf does by default. So it sources some stuff, but then pretty much just calls generic build. And now Nix shell and I believe Nix develop might do the same. They are a bit involved with how they exactly do things, and so in particular, oh, this is just hanging down here. Let's get rid of this. So in particular, let's go into here. So an alias Nix shell into hello. And so now we can already run generic build. And that already builds hello. It runs all the phases. And that is kind of the easiest way to just run it in the shell. Notably, we didn't have to run this source in here. And let's leave that running in the background. And if we really dig into the why, we will find in the Nix source code here, I think it's in build or nixbuild.cc, where I believe if I search for this, setup, yeah, so we will find this kind of thing in here, and this kind of implements the default bash function that happens when you enter a Nix dash shell. And in particular, in here we can see somewhere, yeah, here. If stdnf setup exists, it sources that by default for you. So you don't need to do that, but it's also a bit weird because that's kind of built into Nix itself, but that's fine. So we don't need to do that. We can go straight to generic build. And this, I think this is actually new. I believe this is for structured. That's, I think that's muted now, but there was a lot of noise there for a bit. Anyway, so the .address.shell, I believe that is for structured address. So if we go in here and say, does the file exist? So, well, there's other differences between Nix dash shell and the actual Nix build. In particular, here we are in just the directory where I ran stuff in. But if we run the actual build, and let's say we go to hello and just debug this a bit, name hello, hello package. So let's say we do post patch and just say what is the current path. All right, and let's also do an ls, and now let's build this. And also let's exit. When I need to debug derivations inside of here, I like to just exit with one, so I know where to look and don't have to wait for filter out any of the logs. So here we can see it runs inside of here, and it contains the source of hello. All right, and notably post patch happens after it cd'd into the source directory. That's also a bit of a hacky region, but we can, I believe, pre-unpack and post-unpack will show the difference of there. So in here, pre-unpack, and let's do post-unpack. All right. Nix build hello. Actually, no, that it happens between post-unpack and pre-patch, I believe. Yes, so we can see here this is the current directory in the pre-unpack. So it just points to /build. And notably in here, let's see what we have in here. ls, sure, standard ls. We have just envvars. So this is where the .env.address thing comes from. If we were using structured address, I believe this is how we turned it on. And then see again what happens in here. We can see no change. So this is probably run.
-a to show that.
Oh, yes. -a I think works. Oh yeah, okay,
and
nice.
The second one as well.
Yeah. Well, in the second one it's fine, but yeah, here. Well, now we have the attributes. We didn't run the ls-a before. Let's just check they weren't there without structured address. Yeah, here they aren't there. So it appears that this, actually Nix shell might not even do that. But let's go in here again to the default builder right here. So the default builder checks if that exists. That exists only when you have structured address equals true, and then it sources that. And for a bit more background about what that does, I hope I can link to the documentation in here. Let's go to the unstable manual, I suppose. And just search for structured address. We have structured address by default. Dangerous, but it's there. And this is the only mention of structured address. That's
a Nix manual.
Yeah, although it's also... Oh yeah, no, that's right. I think it's only Nix. feature. Although I think there might be some things that the default builder does. Structured. Does it do anything special? Optional and exposable. Okay, yeah, it does something, but that's kind of fine. Yeah. So yeah, the Nix manual. Let's go in there. That should have some more information. Structured attrs. The structured. Well, those shouldn't. Oh, okay. Well, that search could be improved. So, structured attrs. Yeah. So, I don't think it's here actually. It doesn't say anything about the .attrs.shell file. So maybe since we are talking about
it just in the second paragraph.
Oh, does it? Attrs.shell. Oh, it does. Yeah. Thanks. I should use Ctrl F a bit more. Right, initializes variables according to all representable in bash. Let's take a look at this. Right, cat .attrs.shell. We are diverging a bit from the original topic, but let's take a look. Take a look at it. So structured attrs. All right. So it does declare things like that. So we have here, it declares arrays, -a are bash arrays. I wonder if it also does associative arrays. Let's just give this a try. Bar equals bar. Let's see. It does not appear to use associative arrays as well. But yeah, so this is kind of a...
It's not the start, actually. It's not the start of the output.
Oh.
It's pre-unpack.
Oh, yeah, that has a lot of things, actually. Yes. Okay, it does use associative arrays. Thanks for catching my my mistakes there. So that's nice. Okay. But yeah, I guess it wouldn't do if we have like another nesting here. That's really where the .attrs.json is more useful. So let's nest this once more. And check in here. And where is it? Oh yeah, it's not there. That is as expected. Anyways, so yeah, there is a bit of a difference. So in particular, I think if we run Nix shell, hello, let me git stash these changes so it doesn't mess up this. And let's go into the bash. Yeah, so in here, I wonder, does it, well, I don't think, right, we have a Nix build top, which would usually point to the top build directory. Does that contain these files? Oh, no, that's just the temporary directory, right? So yeah, you, for example, don't have this .attrs.shell file. So generally, you need to be a bit more careful with Nix shell. It's not exactly the same as a derivation. There is, maybe I can point out, there is something that I saw before, although I haven't tried it out for a while. But there is this thing, this breakpoint hook, which supposedly allows you to build the derivation but stop when it errors, and then can go into the derivation environment and just run more commands. Maybe we could give that a go here, because that would allow reproducing the exact environment. So native build inputs, although we do need to install cntr, root user on non-Nix systems. Yeah. Well, let's try it out. So in the hello here, native build inputs, breakpoint hook. We have some questions in the chat. Let's try to get through this decently quickly. Breakpoint hook, although last time I tried this out, I don't think it worked. But but let's give it a try. Well, I need to install cntr as well. cntr. Oh, actually, and yeah, the build needs to actually fail, otherwise we wouldn't get thrown into this. So let's do post patch equals just an exit 1 and run this. Okay, yes, it does this. To attach, install cntr and run the following command as root. Let's try if that works. That would be really neat. So I'm gonna do sudo of this. Oh, and I need to install cntr. Let's do nix shell cntr. Or I guess nix run would also work here. Sudo cntr attach password. And it seems to fail out, or do we have a ls? Well, this is a C shell. That's a bit surprising. Nah, I don't think that worked. Permission denied. Yeah, so I guess maybe that is a known issue. Let me just do a brief search here. I hope this is already reported. CNTR, no, this is not right. Breakpoint hook. Well, there's that. Maybe I'm on an outdated one. Although I wouldn't expect that to be a problem. So, well, I don't want to look into this that much more. Let's just assume. Oh, actually, this was terminated when I did this. Okay. But yeah, let's go to. We wanted to look at briefly how to debug things. Let's try running phases manually. I think that would be a good thing to try. By the way, here important difference. -p adds hello to the environment. -a allows you to build hello and gives you the environment for building hello. So here, write generic build. All right, in this case, it will actually fail now. So let's not do that. And let's do post build maybe. All right. And actually, this will be a problem, but let's see if we can work around it. So hello, we're going to do generic build, exit. Yeah, so this, actually, why does this exit? Did I not save? Oh, unpacker did produce no directories. Why? Post build. This is a bit curious. What do I have in here? Just post build. Generic build? No, that. Okay, I'm a bit stumped here.
Probably already have this directory and maybe it doesn't. override.
Yes, that's a very good point. It unpacked hello before, and the unpacker, right, by default, this is very hacky, and I don't like it. But setup.shell. But by default, the unpack phase in here does something kind of weird, where it, I believe it goes through all the directories before, puts them in a variable, then does the unpacking, then does the same thing again, goes through all the directories and checks if any of them changed. And if none of them changed, then the unpacker supposedly failed. And yeah, and in this case, I think it probably unpacked it. Did it unpack it into hello itself, or the unpacker didn't seem to do anything in this case, I guess. So yeah, need to remove the source, then it should work. Generic build. Okay, we can do the build. I don't want to wait for the build, so let's do post configure. All right, generic build. Oh, and now the same thing again. This is great. All right, generic build. Let's wait for the checking. And let's see. Let me take a look at the chat. Install it as a system package. Right? Yeah, the doc said to install CNTR as a system package, and that can make a difference compared to Nix shell-p. So here we can see kind of the next problem, and that is that an exit actually exits the shell. And so I think the only way to kind of get around this is to manually run phases. So here I think we can see that we can see the configure phase somewhere in here. I hope. Yeah, it should say running configure at some point. So I guess we can then realize that, oh, we can do it manually instead, and up to that phase that fails. But then we have the same problems again. So honestly, this is not working too well. Unpack phase, then we need to do patch phase, I believe. I think we can do run hook patch phase. And that doesn't do anything. Run hook configure phase, does that work? No configure script. It's not a hook, so that doesn't work.
I think you just didn't cd into the directory before configure phase.
Oh, yes, you're right. So there's, it's a mess. There's a lot of things that kind of happen by default. And so if we go into here, like what happens by default, we have all of these phases. And so this is the part that failed now. If we go down here, this one, if we're currently in the unpack phase, and this is after the phase ran, it just has a CD here. So it's not just that you can run the phases, it's also that it kind of has this fairly arbitrary CD in here. But yeah, so we'd have to CD in here. Then we can run maybe configure phase with the run hook, although that's not the intention, I believe. Or does it use run hook here? Dump first. No, it doesn't use run hook in here. It uses this. But I don't really want to have to run this, and I think this might also work. Yeah, configure phase. Yeah, I'm honestly not quite sure how to do that nicely. It's a mess all around. But maybe that helped a little bit. I hope someone has a better solution than to continuously enter the shell again. And maybe I should mention. Yeah.
You could pass arguments to the shell to trigger a specific phase.
Like with Nix. Oh,
or does it work only with Nix develop?
With Nix-shell, this doesn't work. You can't pass. I don't think that actually works. Does that do? Oh, it does.
No, I mean, Nix develop has argument like dash.
Yeah. I was just about to mention that. Yeah. It is a bit weird for this to be integrated into Nix develop because these phases are something Nix packages specific. Yeah. So configure. Right. There's these flags here. Unpack. Configure. Build. So I guess we can do this, say unpack. This might fail again because we already have a hello. No, I don't want to do that. But yeah, I think let's move on from this. There's a lot of messages in the chat, and I would like to take a brief look at those. Maybe let's go through some smaller ones. We have a link to this here. What is this? Nix pull request improve usage of. Oh, that's an improvement for Nix develop. Nice. Okay. So is that getting reviews? Somehow. Oh yeah, very recently.
I posted this in the chat because it was relevant context earlier with the structure matters.
Great, thanks.
Yeah. Not a question. So.
Yeah. All right, then let's move on. The next one is What is a Nixified method to adding an app to Gnome's app menu when it is installed, but doesn't work other than in the terminal? That feels like a question I can't easily answer. I'm not using Gnome myself. I would probably ask that on Discord, to be honest. Or although maybe, actually, I might know. So there is these make desktop item ones in here. And so it's a packages function. Let's see, is it documented? Next packages manual, make desktop. No, it's not documented, unfortunately. So can we look at the source? Make desktop item in here. Well, it's there, kind of. But that's kind of a way. So I think on these desktop environments, you control this with these desktop items, and then let's see, we build events, the PDF viewer that I always use. And well, I don't want to actually build it from here. Let me build it from a channel, so I don't need to build it. Events. Although now it has to fetch a channel, which is also not great. So let's cancel this, which doesn't work. So instead, let me build it from my next package on my system. That should be pretty much instant. All right, now let's look at the result, what it contains. And if we go in here, we should see such a desktop file here somewhere. Icons, no, let's go share somewhere. Applications, is that it? Oh yeah, here it is. So in Outpath share applications, you have these files, and these here show these desktop environments, how to run applications. And there's an exec in here, which shows you what it should execute. And you can create these in your configuration as well. So let's say, well, does hello have one? Maybe let's try one for a hello. So, well, we don't want to compile it. Let me do, yeah, let me reset this. Build hello. Okay, that works. Let's try simple desktop item.nix. And so we're just gonna, well, packages in our case is just the local directory. I'm gonna import this with config set to this and the overlays set to this, so it's decently pure. And then packages.make desktop item. And now we need to know the arguments. I'm just gonna grab Nix packages for the arguments, and I'm gonna add, so rip grep is a tool here. I'm gonna use -a like 10, which shows me context afterwards. And now we have, right, we have name, we have exec. I hope I don't need most of these. Oh, there's even a terminal one here. That might be important. Oh, might not be. But let's just do some name and exec. That should be fine. Hello program or something like that. Exec equals, and now I want to do packages.hello. But actually this wouldn't really work because you probably want the terminal to be started, and in that you want hello to be run. And so that would probably be your terminal here. I don't think there is a generic standard to run a terminal. Actually, no, I don't think so. So you might say, well, in my case, it would be kitty. I think kitty has, I think you can just pass --command, and then here this would be hello. All right, let's see if that works and builds. So I'm gonna build desktop item. It doesn't work, has a trailing semicolon. Function called without required argument. Oh, so we need desktop name. What is that? I do not know. So source it is desktop name, the name of the application. Well, what is the difference to just name? And where is name even? Oh, name is up here. The name of the desktop file. I see. So this should probably not be hello space. This should probably be hello program. And there you can look at examples as always inside Nix packages. That has a Nix packages is essentially a library of examples for all the things it provides. All right, that does fetch a lot of things. Oh, I guess for my terminal, that's fine. Okay, as a result, we have this exact thing. We have hello.desktop. And presumably, if you would install this, it would show up in your Gnome. I don't think I can easily test this here. Could also be interesting to say overlay or override the hello package to provide this by default. For this, I think I'm just going to link to a cookbook in the wiki. I think has a nice packaging quirks. No cheat sheet. No, it's the wiki is a bit unorganized and not super well maintained, but I think I wrote an article on wrapping stuff here at some point, which should really be in, yeah, here it is. Yeah, I'm gonna link this in, well, in the channel for now. But yeah, I can recommend taking a look at this. This kind of shows you different ways how you can wrap applications or wrap derivations. All right, let me go through the messages here. Relog, okay. Oh, log back in. Yeah, right, that's a good point. Well, I can't really show anything about that, but yeah, generally you need to relog into your desktop session. And actually one of the things I frequently use is this here. That's sudo system ctl restart display manager. That's on at least X11. It might also work on Wayland to just kind of stop your display manager that kills all your applications, but is pretty much the same as a relog, and especially useful if you don't have a desktop environment, actually, which I guess most people do have that, so most people wouldn't need that. So it is a very brute force way of doing things, though. So all right, we have some discussions about the desktop item. Only terminal, okay. Yeah, oh, the question was also asked by someone using Kitty. I can recommend Kitty. That has a bunch of features. I think let's get back to the original question asked in the channel at the very top and take a look at that. So that was here, yes. So the question is, I'm trying to override the VirtualBox guest additions derivations that is defined here. Here is in here, okay. And I want to apply this patch. This is just some patch, all right, to my configuration.nix so I can enable it using the option. All right, so how do we override it? Tried this overlay. Oh, it uses, right, that's under the Linux kernel, but I get this error, package alias is missing. I see. Yeah, okay, I see the problem. So let's do, just so we can reproduce this, we should go into Nix Hour, create 45, and a configuration.nix, and let me copy the basic framework from my file here, this one. All right, now our goal is to have this option set like this. I hope it's big enough. Nix Hour 45. And now we want to build this with NixOS. We should have, let me actually use a flake here for a change of pace. Usually I don't use flakes that often. But let's use Nix packages from, I guess, NixOS. I don't want to use a master branch. Let's use the NixOS unstable channel. And then outputs, that should just be, we want to build the NixOS system. I bet there is a flake template. I'm not using flake templates that often. But, okay, let's do this. Nix packages, and then I believe it's NixOS configurations. And actually that should be in the Flake wiki. I know that it's somewhere in here as well. This is configurations here. Pretty much this. Machine, I'm gonna use Zine for my current host. NixOS system. That looks all good. And now we're gonna import just configuration.nix. Alright, and let's build this. Nix build. Someone has. Oh, Robert, I'm gonna mute your mic here.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I haven't done that yet. So now, okay. So next build, we're gonna build. Actually, we can use NixOS rebuild. Build. I don't want to switch my system to this, and we want to do.
Dash flake dot.
Oh yes, thanks. Flake dot, and then we need to add all the files. Git add dot.
Or use file colon dot.
Oh yeah, I think it's fine like this for now. Expected a set, but got a string. Oh yeah, that's not a great error, but this is a problem. All right, that works. Okay, now let's copy in the patch here. That was attempted, and then let me go over why that didn't work. So Nix packages overlays, we have it enabled. Okay, so it should be used. Oh, okay, it already builds it with this. Oh, okay. So let's see here. We have the overlay. We have this here. That should be good. We have this equals that. Actually, why does? Oh, there's a semicolon missing here. All right, we get the error. Very nice, we could reproduce it. So, yeah, so the problem here is that when you do this in Nix, and actually I can demonstrate this easier in the Nix REPL here. If you say foo.bar.baz equals 10, it's going to set, let's make this a bit bigger. It's going to set the attributes like this, right? But so if you look at overlays, so let me go load lib in here. Now we can apply overlays using the extends function. So if you have an overlay here, this is the very basic thing you can do with the most basic thing you can use to demonstrate overlays. So let's say we do this in here, foo.bar.baz equals 10. And we start off, actually let's not have an overlay just yet. Let's just use fix for now. So you can imagine this being NixOS, and so we kind of have the, or actually Nix packages. So this is the final packages configuration, and we might have something like foo equals bar equals 10 and baz equals 20. Okay, so this is what it sets by default. And if we evaluate this, this works indeed. Well, it doesn't use anything recursive. Let's add some recursion. Let's use final.foo.bar plus 5. All right, now we get the result where baz depends on the value of foo.bar. Okay, and let's actually put this in a function. Let's make this f. This is kind of the like Nix packages as it is by default. So this is f. Now let's say we have an overlay. And so we define final pref and say foo dot. Now we say we want to override baz for the example here. Baz equals 20 instead of 15. All right, we declared the overlay. Now let's apply the overlay using extends. So this is lib.extends overlay to f. And let's evaluate this again using fix and strictly. And as we can see here, we also clear the bar value from here. And actually, I guess if we change the overlay to bar, no, that should be fine. Like, let's use x, just something random. If we try this, oh, actually that, oh, right, yeah, that's kind of as expected. What I kind of wanted to show here, let's see, f not only has a foo, but it also has a like x in here, x equals 10, and the foo in here depends on the x. So let's say final.x plus 5. Sure, like this. Does this work? I'm not quite sure if it works. Well, in any case, we override the entire set here. We override the entire foo.value, including the bar, including the baz, whereas we only really want to override the where is it? Yeah, we only want to override foo.baz itself. So what we need to do, always in overlays, is to say, well, let me just go from the example here. Linux kernel equals super, or let's change this to final and pref. It's the general convention that is used nowadays. Super.linux kernel. And so this, no, this should be super. Oh, final pref. Oh yeah, pref now. So now this also has a bit of a problem, but at least it might fix this temporarily. Okay, and so then we need to say packages equals pref.linuxkernel.packages / and then linux65 equals pref.linuxpackages.packages.linux65 / and then again, this is getting a bit long. Like this. Dot VirtualBox guest additions, and then finally we can have the override address. And then let's do this. All right, and we can get rid of this. How is he in it? I need to close a whole bunch of these. And this one doesn't need one. All right, so now we are always just overriding single attributes recursively.
To close the round bracket.
Oh, here, yeah. Yeah, so we're only overriding one attribute at a time while leaving the other ones. So this might work, though there's also some problems with that. Yeah, that seems to work. So it's building my system, and actually we can't just eval this. I wish this did exist, or like an instantiate. Is there I don't think dry. I think dry build might work. Dry? No. Okay, but yeah, it evaluates. So this might work, and actually it might not take too long. Let's try building this in the background. Just brief check here. Oh yeah, this is a problem. Why? Yeah, apparently the live stream wasn't doing the right thing. That's not great. I think it should show it now. Oh yeah, that's unfortunate, but thanks for mentioning. All right. Let let me check the chat. Was there anything in here? Basic question. What resources do you recommend to read? And we have this here, which was linked in the channel. First time seeing this resource, so I'm not sure if I... Oh, that seems to be a kind of collection of resources. That's nice. For resources to recommend for learning Nix. Honestly, and maybe that's why I'm doing the Nix Hour, is just talking to people and getting and asking questions. There's so many things that can go wrong in Nix, and I feel like most people initially really need just mentors to help them get the right or fix the things. And so, one of the most helpful resources might actually just be the official ways to reach the community, which should be, well, where is that community? Yeah, it's in here. The discourse forum is very useful. The Matrix channel, I think most people are there, but I think there's also people on Reddit discourse. Stack Overflow isn't used that often, and so for technical questions, I think this is the place to go. Yeah, but so that's for people. Of course, you can always search all of these, and then also what I would like to recommend, but I'm not sure if I can, is manuals. Manuals aren't. They're being worked on. I'm in the docs team, and they continuously get updates. Also, the documentation team is focusing on Nix.dev, which isn't covering everything yet, but actually I think the quality of tutorials on Nix.dev is pretty good by now, and it is official by now. So brief thanks and shout out to Doman. He donated Nix.dev to the official efforts, and so this is how we have this nice page now. But yeah, so the docs team is working on this. So in particular, we have been focusing on the kind of first steps and the learning journey. It's still a bit in flux. There's some duplication among tutorials. There's a separate learning journey working group that tries to focus on just the learning journey. But there's also kind of a first steps that's a bit probably will get turned into the learning journey at some point. But yeah, I'd look around here, and yeah, if you're interested in contributing yourself as well, it's of course open source. Feel free to join the docs team meetings as well, the docs team channel, and you can find information on the docs team also in the webpage. Here on the community tab, down here are all the different teams in the Nix space. And the docs team is down here. So yeah, here this is a bit out of date. There's more members in here. The member list could be a bit improved, but yeah, you can find the information from here. Let me read the channel. You can use Nix build, Nix eval. Oh yeah, that works. Let's try that. So I was wondering about how to evaluate a Nixos configuration. It doesn't work with the Nixos rebuild command, but it does work with the CLI. So we can do Nixos configurations .zion and then we need config.system.build.top-level. Yeah, that doesn't quite work. We need to use outpath. So Nix eval is strict by default, and derivations are fully recursed into, and there's kind of infinite recursion going on there. I'm a bit surprised that it's not detected as infinite recursion. But yeah, so that's interesting. Oh, and Nix flag check should evaluate the Nixos configuration as well. Yeah, and so if you make a mistake here, that should get checked. wait a second. Did I think I saved it. Oh, I guess the mistake might not be, yeah, let's do like this. That should work. Oh, I'm not using final here. I'm doing the worst edits here to demonstrate failure. This should definitely break, yes. Okay, yeah, thanks for pointing that out. So was the VirtualBox also created in the source folder? If not, shouldn't we see an error? Oh yeah, that's a good point. So it looks like it's not actually used, or what happened to the Nixos rebuild here? That did pass, so it doesn't appear to be used. So I guess, oh, I guess I didn't enable virtualization actually. I think VirtualBox, I think you need to do this, right? Although no, that's a different option. Guest versus host. Let's take a look at what the option does. For this, let me use the official search here. Virtualization. And then host, guest dot enable. Oh, and I need to search Nixos options. Dot, was it guest dot enable? What?
VirtualBox guest.
Oh yes. All right, and I mainly wanted to show this because we can jump to the declaration right here. That's useful. And so let's see what it does. So this CFG enable, well, we can just go down here. It's enable, it does some assertions, it uses kernel. And kernel comes from up here, so it uses the config.boot.kernel packages. And so yeah, this kind of highlights a small problem here, namely that it only adds it to this specific kernel. But if I were to just print what my current kernel is, so let's do eval. We can evaluate other options here, that's kind of useful. So config.boot.kernel packages.kernel.name. Okay, 6.1, yeah, so it uses 6.1, that kernel. And so yeah, if we wanted to apply to all kernels, I'm not quite sure how easy that's gonna be. It really depends on how Nix packages is written, about how easy it is. In particular, Linux packages, so actually Linux kernel, that is defined as Linux kernels, but there's also Linux packages for, I guess that might be used inside Linux kernel. Linux kernel packages, packages for, oh, there's another packages for here. Wait a second, is that kind of the same thing? I'm a bit disorganized here. Linux packages for, oh, it just mirrors that one. That's fair. All right, so packages for is in here. Packages for, so this function is called for all of the different kernels to declare the packages for it. Let's see if there's any mechanism to add packages to all the kernels. So lib.make is extensible, that only allows you to write a single one. Call package. So this is not it. Optional, no, I don't think there's anything for that in here. Recurs into attrs, packages for, no. That doesn't look very customizable. That might already be an issue, I hope, or I hope it's reported on Nix packages. So like Linux packages, or let's say packages 4. Can we find one? Not quite. Linux packages 4. Maybe not. But yeah, fix overriding kernel, nope. Okay, can't find one right now. So yeah, I guess in here, maybe something interesting to do here would be to say, we can say, let's do an assertion. Yeah, let's do an assertion. Let's say assertions equals, we're gonna add one that says assertion equals config.boot.kernel, what was it? Packages .kernel.version equals or starts with something like that, has prefix, and then we do 6.5. All right. The message not using expected kernel. It's kind of a neat way to make sure you're using the version you expect. Now, if we do evaluate this, or Nix rebuild build, it should hopefully complain. Hello? Oh, that was very slow. Oh, I'm not in the right directory. Right, that makes sense. Nix was rebuild. Undefined variable config, so we need to add config up here. All right. And yeah, not using the expected kernel. And now we can be sure that config.boot.kernel, actually I think it's kernel packages equals packages.linux packages. Actually, let me read the documentation. Boot.kernel packages. And what is the example here? This. Okay, let me copy that. Linux now 6.5. Alright, and that is the attribute that we also override. Let's try this again. And of course we need to add packages up here. Has an unsupported attribute assertions. Is that, what is the option? Assertions. Hold on. Oh, oh yes, this config here messes everything up. We don't want that. Right, maybe just explaining, if you have a config in here, it treats all of these as like imports. Well, these attributes aren't, that's a bad explanation. So modules have usually the form imports something, you have options something, and you have config something. But if you just write it like this down here, this is the short down here. And so all of these definitions by default, so if we don't have this, they all get put under config. So this is the same as prefixing all of these with config. Dot. Well, you get the idea. But as soon as we introduce one config here, the module system is kind of confused and says, I can't really handle that. I don't know if you want to, if you want me to kind of merge these all together into a single config. And so we need to either get rid of this, or we can alternatively put these all under config. And this is what we'd want if we need to actually define options and other things that aren't config. So in here we could also say options as well. You don't need that for just imports. So really just options and imports. But yeah, so let's try this again. We are a bit over time. We started a bit late. I think that's fine. And it did evaluate, and we can see it's fetching it and hopefully building it. And I don't think we can watch it succeed here, but that should...
Still didn't complain about fetch.
It did not indeed. That is worrying. Oh, yeah, this doesn't seem to get applied actually. So kind of a good way to debug this is to just litter your code with throws, or use one at a time. Because now we can see can occurs, yeah, okay, that's the throw error. So this is evaluated, but supposedly this one isn't evaluated. So if we do that, or we can, yeah, throws are fine. Does it evaluate? If it evaluates, yeah, it's not getting evaluated. Well, if this succeeds, this code here is not being evaluated. Let me see if I can briefly, if I can see something immediately wrong with this. Is the attribute here? We could try evaluating the packages using, I believe, actually, does this work? Yeah, this does work. So this should be the final packages used for the Nix Hour system. So we can do like packages dot, we can build this kind of manually here. This way the Nix Hour evaluation isn't involved in this. Yeah. Well, I think we are out of time, but this maybe for another time. I'm going to stay longer here in the call. If you want to ask more questions, I'm going to be here for a bit. Otherwise, from the people at nix.camp, I'm not sure how many there are. Oh yeah, I can see the cam. Hello. Let me move you up here. Yeah, hello. Well, now you can see yourself. But yes, a bunch of people here. 24. Well, I hope. Well, the Nix hours are always a bit messy here and there, and Nix is messy here and there, so that kind of matches. But thanks for joining, and I'm gonna end the stream now. All right.